afternoon, Silkstone. It's very overcast today. It's about to rain, so we hope we get the reading in of this chapter. I hope you've had a lovely day at home. In chapter 4, we ended where Ben made his first attempt at walking across the pool, and Shelley challenged him. She said, if you want to look like that guy in the picture, the surfer, you will need to get a pair of bathers. So let's start reading chapter 5. My day off, Anne said. I'm so tired I'm going to bed after lunch and staying there all afternoon. How will they manage at the hostel without you, even for one day? Shelley asked sarcastically. They don't need any occupational therapy aides on Sundays, Anne said, too worn out to notice the sarcasm. The parents always come and take the kids out. Shelley moped about the house after lunch, glaring at the silent telephone, which was useless for contacting any of her friends. They would all be away, or out, or occupied. She watched a tedious documentary on TV, then went round the block on her roller skates, seeing only doddering old Mr. Harcourt tending his immaculate lawn. The whole quiet block seemed a restrictive as a prison. The rest of the summer holidays stretched barrenly before her. It was too hot to be racking it about the empty streets on roller skates. She could feel her socks growing clammy with sweat. It was a day for the beach. But even in her bored resentment, she hesitated to wake up Anne and to demand to be taken there. There was the council pool, but it was too far to walk, and the only connecting bus service didn't operate on Sundays. She flopped down in the backyard to take her skates off, but it wasn't an attractive place to linger. Her mother, working as the sole wage earner, had little time to spare for gardening. Shelley thought suddenly of the blue-tiled pool at the hostel, tucked away by itself in its own private room. No one would be there. Her mother had told her about the parents coming on Sundays to take those kids out, and the nurses knew her by sight now. If she just strolled in, they'd smile at her in vague recognition. She could easily get the key and use the pool for as long as she liked, with no interruptions. She collected her swimming things and went off by bike. When she reached the hostel, she chained the bicycle carefully to a side fence. She looked across the glass door and froze. Ben was there, in his usual position, watching the cars go by. Maybe his parents were just late in coming to collect him, Shelley thought. But then she saw with irritation that he wasn't dressed for going out anyhow. On the front of his t-shirt, he wore the picture of the surfboard rider, stuck there with sticky tape. His eyes painstakingly followed the course of each passing car. Almost, she thought, as though he expected each one to stop and the people to get out and come in to visit him. Gloomily, she decided to go back home. But just as she was unfastening the bike, Ben spotted her. He made a joyful dive at the door, flung it open and grinned at her from ear to ear with a smile like a slice of watermelon. "Darry!" he cried over and over till her head rang. "Shelley," she said, "I've already told you 1,000,000 times. Can't you even say my name properly yet?" She stepped around him and went along the corridor to the pool, knowing bitterly that he would follow her as closely as a shadow. "Listen," she said, "I want a proper swim in that pool today. I won't have time to babysit you and hold your hand while you walk up and down that rotten step. I'm going swimming and I mean it. That's all I came here for. See, you'd better just stay out here where you can watch the nice cars." He looked at her from under his fringe, like a cuffed dog. The sparkle went out of his eyes. "You got your shorts and shirt all wet yesterday," she said tersely. "Those nurses will blame me if it happens again. Anyhow, what if your mum and dad show up to take you out? You'd better be waiting for them by the front door." Ben shook his head slowly and sadly. No wonder his parents don't show up, she thought. If I had a kid who looked like him, I wouldn't show up either. I'd just bung him in this place and forget about him. "Okay," she said, "you can come to the pool with me, but you've got to go and find some bathers first." Ben told her a rambling, uneasy story about how his bathers had been on the hostel clothesline and Tanya had pinched them. But he told the story, peeping out at her from the laced hands, and the visible parts of his face were pink with guilt. "You're a rotten liar," Shelley scoffed. "You go and get your bathers. If you don't find them, you can't come to the pool with me, and that's final. I'll count to 10. He wheeled around and shot off down the corridor in a shambling run. Shelley asked for the pool door key, and the nurse, as she'd thought, didn't question her right to be there. While she was unlocking the door, Ben came back, breathlessly, wearing a tatty old pair of purple bathers inside out. "Come on then," Shelley said unenthusiastically. When she came out of the changing room, Ben was ankle deep in the water at the step. His face was lined with concentration, and at each pace he pulled his foot completely out and set it down gingerly, as though the water were a swarm of wasps. But he was actually walking backwards and forwards across the step by himself. Shelley jumped into the deeper end and showed off doing torpedoes. When she came up for air, Ben was looking at her wistfully. "It's about time you got off that stupid step and into the proper pool," she said. "Ben, drown." "Are you still on about that? You won't drown. I'm sick of telling you. You don't have to come right down here to this end where I am. Just get off the step and walk backwards and forwards across the pool to that end." We've had a quick location change. Those few spits of rain have turned into quite a nice heavy shower. So let's continue. "The water's only up to your knees there, for crying out loud. Listen, if you do, I'll give you a silver star to bung on your surfy picture. How about that?" A silver star? It was as if someone had lit 2 of them behind his eyes when she said it. Then he looked down at the water below the safe wide step, and the stars flickered out. "You won't drown. Look, I'll come up there and hold your hand like last time. I'm the boss of this pool, and I don't let it drown people. All you have to do is get down from that step and walk, and the water will only come up to your knees. I won't let it come up any deeper than that. I'll be real proud of you if you can do it, Ben." Proud of him? Shelley thought furiously. He's nothing to do with me. I don't care if he can't swim. If he has to stay on the sand when someone takes him to the beach, I don't even blame his mum and dad for not showing up today. Ben, pale with effort, suddenly stepped down into the water. "Wow, you did it!" Shelley cried. "I'm real proud of you. Now, all you have to do is walk back and forwards across the pool, right? Just the same as you did before, on the step. No worries." Ben kept his eyes shut and wretchedly shook his head. "Go on. Think of that silver star I'll bring you tomorrow. You can be top dog around this place with the silver star. Oh, come on, Ben." Across the pool 5 times. Only 5 times, and I'll be holding your hand all the time. And then I'll let you get out. She coaxed him across twice. Then, when he was in the centre trembling in knee-deep water, she took her hand away and retreated to the deeper end and left him stranded. "You can easily do it on your own," she said sternly. "You're a big guy, like in that picture. You show me how you can walk across all by yourself." But while she was heckling him, she looked at his face. Never in her life had she seen a face so filled with terror. She stopped, and in the silence she found herself thinking with cold anger. Where the hell are his parents? Why didn't they show up and take him out? This whole place is empty, and he's the only one left behind. How could they let him get to his age and be so scared of water along with everything else he's been loaded with? It's not fair. "Listen to me, Ben," she said fiercely. "There's nothing to be scared of. If you walk across 5 times all by yourself, I'll write to the Richmond Footy Club and tell them about it. Honest, one time that whole team was here in this pool, and I gave them a silver star for walking across the pool and not hanging on to my hand. I'm the boss of this pool, and I get to hand out silver stars to people." So I gave the tigers one, but they had to pass the test first. Same as you. You'll pass it easy. Just think, you'll be walking around in the same water as the Richmond Tigers. Ben slowly put one foot in front of the other and traced a painful way to the side of the pool. He took one small step after another, one terrible step after another, and when he reached the side, he stood there gasping. Shelley brought her hands together above her head and clapped as though she had never seen anything so brilliant and dazzling. "Good on you, Ben," she yelled, and her voice bounced off the tiled walls like fragments of reflected water and tumbled back into the pool. "On you, Ben! Even the tigers didn't do as good as that." Ben smiled at her through his fear and turned around and slowly walked back across the width of the pool. He did it 5 times, and at the end of the 5th time, he had stopped trembling. Shelley looked at the clock above the door and scarcely believed that the whole exercise had taken nearly 2 hours. She got out of the pool and changed. She certainly didn't want her mother to find out where she'd been. If she found out, she might even think she liked coming over to this awful place. Ben followed her, dripping, to the front door. He gazed out at her while she unchained her bike. Then he started to wave to her and to the people who didn't wave back and who never stopped. Shelley rode down the street, discovering how difficult it was to steer a bike with one hand and wave back to someone with the other. That's the end of chapter 5 of Boss of the Pool. What a transformation there in their friendship. Shelley is becoming much more fond of Ben and really proud of him. Tomorrow we'll be reading chapter 6. Have a lovely evening and a lovely day tomorrow. Bye, Silkstone.